and welcome to Here's the Deal. I'm your host, Shilo, and of course, I got my trusty co host with me, Mr. Marvin, and a couple of pups in the background, I guess.
I hear that.
The kids must be home, so.
Well, there you go.
Anyway, how's it going, bud?
Good. How are you doing?
I am doing good. I actually put my beanie on and a sweatshirt about 10 minutes ago because I got cold, actually, because it's been raining up here all day. How about down
Yeah,
there?
here too. It was like nice this morning, but that turned into a lie.
Yeah. Yeah, and then they shut the roads down about about noon or so, 1 o'clock. We had some rig moves and stuff going on up here that we had to stop because they even shut the roads down on us. So it's that wet. I don't know how much we got or anything, but quite a bit. I know that. So I got home today and just got kind of a chill. So I put a sweatshirt and my beanie on.
Huh.
So anyway, what do you know?
Not much. I'm just trying to find my way around the new Secretary of State site because it's less user friendly than it was before. So,
I wonder
no,
why that is.
I've actually been spending part of the day today, when I've had some free time, relearning the campaign finance, the disclosure statements, all that stuff, because we're going to start seeing that pop up on the 3rd. But last election cycle and this election cycle, I'm waiting to see the Brighter Future Alliance reporting, because they would report to the Secretary of State's office roughly 24 hours before mailers would show up in the mailbox. And it would say what it was 2 or 4. So I was kind of looking to see what other flyers I can expect to see show up in my trash can here by the end of the week.
Your trash can. I love it.
Oh, that's straight where they go.
Yeah.
I don't even look.
I hear.
It's funny. They had the one that came out this last week on Dr. Becker, and Joel Heitkamp, of all people, today
Yeah.
was talking about it.
Really?
And how it's entirely false statements. And it just made me laugh. Like,
Yeah.
it's pretty bad when Joel comes out to defend.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's ridiculous because these things come out. And like, I pulled up the bills. It's not that hard to go onto the legislative website and pull up the bills. And like, one of them got sent back and forth between the House and Senate action wise for reviews and changes and edits. I want to say at least 3 times, where it went to the House and then it went to the Senate and then went to the House because they were still trying to hammer crap out.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. And I just shook my head at it. And then seeing the one that hit the mail this weekend, I'm like, oh, here we go. So it'll be fun. I expect to see stuff coming out against District 8, against Brandon Pritchard and Magrum and Suan Olson, because we already have seen that they have challengers that didn't bother to get endorsements sitting and coming against them, and sponsored ads and all that garbage.
Mm-hmm.
And I would half expect to see stuff coming out against either Heitkamp, Bartlett, or both of them. I'm kind of expecting to see stuff come out against Chris and Larry and the team out of District 14. And it's like, why? Why do we put out attack ads? Why do we put this garbage out? I don't care. There's also that website that popped up over the weekend about Julia. I haven't had a chance to even look to see who's putting all that on. And it's like, I don't care. I want to know what the candidates are going to do, not what they don't like about their opponents.
Right.
So
The
it's
proof
just,
is in the pudding, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, we in all these races, especially the statewide races, we already know. I mean, we've talked about this quite a bit, Marvin, and I think it was the last show or two that made the comment of who has the record to back them up the most, and that would be Rick Becker. There's not one of them that's running in any of these races that has the record that he does. And when he's messed up, he has self admitted it and he fixed it, and it's time to move on. And I just, yeah, I'm with you. I want to know what these guys are going to do. Like, this is, it's go time. I mean, we don't have any more time.
Yeah, and I mean, by no means do we have the power to make endorsements or anything like that. But I think I had the conversation this weekend about Dr. Becker with somebody too. I'm like, that man has taken so many lumps to the chin. He takes a beating regularly, and he keeps coming back to want to run to do the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, a lot of people would have walked away years ago, said, "Piss on it, I'm done."
Yep.
You know, this hasn't been fed to him on a silver spoon campaign. His last one wasn't either. Even like his house runs, I mean,
Well,
and the leadership conference this weekend, Shiloh, was super interesting. The one that they had at New Song, because there was a lot of people that spoke that don't necessarily agree with each other.
mm-hmm.
But it was nice to see everybody just there to talk about leadership. And I know the Monitor put out that article about Dr. Lindsay that was in talking this weekend. He had a very solid presentation. But like, the people that got on the stage to speak at the event really did focus on faith and leadership, and that was nice. I can't wait to actually, I think they're going to be putting that video out so people can watch it and learn from it. And I think the funniest, my funniest moment of the day, I actually sat and hung out with Representative Machenbacher, because I kind of hid in the corner for the first half of the day with a sweatshirt and a t-shirt on. Mike came back and sat with me, but the speech order had Attorney General Drew Wrigley,
Mm-hmm.
followed immediately by Representative Machenbacher. And there's certain issues that those two definitely don't get along on, but it was kind of funny because they referenced each other in their speeches, but it was kind of those soft pokes. Hey, I see you, but that's not why we're here today, you know? And overall, like, experience wise, I had fun for the event. We ran over time. I think it was 5:36 before I got home, but it was a good day.
Cool.
So sorry to go off on the tangent there, but like, I wish I saw more of that in our debates and in our politics, and poke a little fun, but get the job done. Like, I don't need the negative in my life.
It's hard to deal with day after day because that's all you open up to, and that's where I've been for a while. Is let's hear about what these guys are gonna do. I mean, and it's pick your race. It's in all of them, unfortunately. So, I mean, well, let's be honest. Kelly Armstrong is no angel, and obviously Miller's who she is. I mean, we already know.
Yep.
But let's move on with it. Let's actually hear what you're going to do. Because in my opinion, Kelly Armstrong has nothing to be bragging about. He wasn't that great as a congressman, and right now everybody's plugging their nose to vote for him because there's nobody else that's worth a poo running. That's where I'm at with that race.
Yep.
The DPI race is just getting to be laughable at this point. I think people need to start talking about the issues. And I know Jason has Bartlett's on this deal with putting Christianity back in school, which I agree with him. But if that's all you're going to run on, I'm sorry. It's just not going to cut it. And then obviously with the House race, we had Alex on the show. I've heard people that have been around him since we've had him on the show, and they have good things to say, and it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Let's be honest, Marvin, he's got more of a chance than probably people are giving him. Even against Rick. But there again, I mean, Rick is who Rick is, and we'll see how that all plays out. I would hope that that keeps going the way that it is. Julie's there, it looks like, just to try and take Rick out, but we'll see how that works. I mean, there again, it's all, how do I say this? As far as Julie Fedoracek is it's all there in black and white. I mean, we know what she is. Just look at her public service commission run. It's there. I mean, if it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we knew the governor's race was going to be a 3-ring circus, or at least I knew back in July last year already. There were 7 names that were out there. Most of the ones that I was predicting announced. Granted, some of them shifted races, some of them started going to other things, but I really wasn't surprised by any of the candidates that we're looking at now. The only one that kind of caught me off guard was actually the Democrat, Merle Pipecorn. I was half expecting to see Cory Mock announcing that he was going to take a run at either governor or auditor. So it was interesting to see that he chose to do neither. But, there's all that other extra drama attached to that. So we'll just avoid that because I don't like being that guy. But, I mean, even if you look at Bismarck, there was a couple people that had been looking at running. The general consensus was that we needed change, but they also wanted to try and give Conley the benefit of the doubt, and so they chose not to run. And when it was already too late to collect signatures or submit everything, Steve Marquardt backed out of the race completely and just kind of left everybody blindsided. So now we have Conley running in Bismarck, and from what I'm gathering on our other 2 candidates, we're going to have a couple very not conservative candidates running against Conley. So that's disappointing, considering we already have a city commission that's willing to give away public lands for free to a private enterprise. But I mean, who needs a boat dock in the middle of town anyway, right, folks? But I mean, it's really, I knew this year was going to be rough, Shilo. I did. And right now, I am counting down the days to get past this primary so we can see what really we're going to be dealing with coming into November. From petitions to potential lawmakers to, like, what are we going to be dealing with? And that's really where I'm focusing right now, is I'm not even looking at June anymore. There's really nothing you and I can do to impact June other than to try and get a few more of these people on, give them a chance to speak before their elections come up. And so I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty of who said what to who and who's better than who, because at this point, folks, you need to do your research. You need to know. My focus right now, and I've already started it, I'd say an eighth of the way into it, is I have started recopying all of Century Code. So the current stuff that's out there. I'm pre-prepping it for December when they release the bills that they're going to be bringing forward, so that we're going to be ahead of the game this time. I'm going to do like last session, where I'm going to take all the bills, I'm going to put it to Century Code so you can see what they are getting rid of, what they are trying to do with the bills, because the last decade plus, they don't tell you what they're going to do with the bill. It's spread across 7 to 15 different bills.
Yep.
You can't see the full picture. You're just voting on one page bill here that changes one line, and you're voting on one bill over here that changes a little bit of a paragraph. So I'm going to do like I did last year. I'm going to put it all together so you can look at the state health officer and see how they're rewriting it. You can look at the schools and see how they're rewriting it. You can look at the water board and see how they're rewriting it. Because it's the only way we're going to know. So, sorry. That's kind of where I'm at with stuff coming into June here. I'm avoiding TV, I'm avoiding Facebook ads, and I'm definitely not looking at flyers that are coming in the mail.
No, I agree with you. I agree. It's just, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens and all that. And, there's just a lot of talk of there's really nobody to vote for in a lot of these races.
Yeah. Well, for the record, I'm not running for anything this year, write-in or otherwise. I promised Sarah I wasn't running for anything. We kind of kicked around the city commission run. I got too much to focus on this year, just with our family, trying to get stuff done around the house. I still have a roof to put on from last year. So, like, and a greenhouse to put up. So I don't physically have the time to commit to the run this year. I don't. But
so the rumor that you're running for DPI is not true, right?
Correct. And the rumor that I'm running as a write-in campaign for the city of Bismarck is not true. And what other rumors was there? There was a couple other ones out there. But yeah, I'm not running for anything intentionally, folks. What I am debating, and we're just kicking this around, is running for Bismarck City Commission or running for mayor in 2 years. So we'll see how that goes.
That'll be interesting.
That'll be entertaining.
Yeah.
Oh, it goes back to, my speech the other day was kind of funny, Shilo.
Yeah,
Did I tell you about that?
Yeah, let's hear about it.
So I don't write any of my speeches. Everybody knows it. I don't bring any material. I don't pre-prep for anything because I already know most of what I need to know. If I don't know, I look it up on the fly. But I listened to all the speeches. I was one of the last speakers on Saturday. I listened to everybody else's speech and their approach and their stuff. And I got to thinking about it. I'm like, this is a leadership conference, right? And so when I got up on stage, I introduced myself, gave a quick little, I'm a nobody from nowhere. Mm-hmm. But then I started off with, I don't wanna, you can't make me. And everybody in the crowd chuckled. And then I kind of explained it. I go, every morning, my wife and I have a saying, and it's, I don't wanna, you can't make me. And it's whether it's going to work or it's going to an event or it's going to speak or, it's leaving the house. And it becomes more of the conscious choice. You make that conscious choice every day to be involved. Mm-hmm. And I really kind of expanded upon that. And it really came back to, and I told the story. I think I've told the story on here before, about when I first started speaking at commission meetings back in 2020. And I got to talking about the Bismarck School Board meeting, which was one of the only speeches I've ever actually written and read. This was September of 2020. And I asked a series of questions of the Bismarck School Board, including, who's funding the I Choose the Mask campaign on Twitter, who was funding, all this stuff that was out there on their social media. But what I really asked them, and this is what got me going on Century Code to begin with, was because all you parents that have kids in school sign those consent forms at the beginning of the year, right? You sign parental consent forms that while your child is at school, the school is in charge of your child, right? But I stacked that a little bit further with the Century Code regarding the Department of Health and Human Services, the state health officer. And they've changed the code since then. But what it said was the state health officer was allowed to do emergency quarantines. He was able to do emergency inoculations. Is all this power that he has. I go, at what point can you lock the kids in the school and force vaccinate the children? And for those parents that have already signed the waiver for religious exemption, will the school not allow that child to return until they receive the COVID vaccination? And I'm going to get us kicked off of YouTube again, Shiloh.
Great. Now we got to start another channel.
Right? but it was a solid question.
Yeah.
Like, at what point can the school say, we have the right to do this to your child, whether you like it or not? And I left them with my questions. I had printed them off. I gave them to each of them, and I left them with them. And I got home that night, and I was just a mess, Shiloh, because all the talking that I had done felt like it fell on deaf ears.
Yeah.
You know, with city commissions, with county commissions, with this Bismarck school board that I was fighting with. It felt like it was on deaf ears. And at this point, Monkey's like 3. She already counts to 20. But she keeps running around the house going 18, 9, 10, 18, 9, 10, 18, 9, 10 all over again. And I corrected it a few times. And finally, like, I gave up. And I'm like, all right, God, what's 18, 9, 10? And so I just typed in 18 space 9 space 10. You folks can all do this on your phone. The first thing, the only thing that pops up for 18, 9, 10 was, one night the Lord spoke to Paul in a vision. Do not be afraid. Keep on speaking. Do not be silent, for I am with you, and no one is going to attack or harm you, because I have many people in the city.
And where was that? And what book is that from?
Acts 18, 9, 10. And I've always respected the Apostle Paul. And so I went back and I started looking at what I had written that night. And that's where I'd realized just what could be done with Century Code. Just how much they could control our life with Century Code. That weekend, I ripped apart every one of the executive orders that had been out to that point. And I realized that we were really at the point where we were a step off of martial law. Mm-hmm. And the only thing that was stopping it is 37-17-29, which is firearms during the state of emergency. Mm-hmm. Even in a state of emergency, they can't take your guns. And that's something I've always said, Shiloh. I won't speak about something unless I can prove it 100%. And that was one of the points that I brought up. Like, I hated the phrase Mockingbird media when people were sitting and saying, oh, it's Mockingbird media, Mockingbird media. So I went out and I found it. I found the Thomas Church report from 1975, which is in the National Archives. And during the 60s, Mockingbird media was a real thing, only they were using it. The CIA was using it on college campuses to see how effective it was. And literally what we were seeing on the news in 2020 was a CIA program from 1960s being implemented in our media. I hated the phrase pandemic. I did. I didn't want to believe, Shiloh. I didn't, because who in their right mind would plan something like that? So I went out and I started looking for all these plans and stuff. And that's where I found it's the EPR, so Edward Parle Robert, and I've spoke about this on the show when we had Trent on, vaccination management. If you search that in your taskbar, it pulls up our vaccine plan for North Dakota is the very first thing that shows up on there. It's dated May 6th of 2014. It literally was the guidelines for the smart restart that we had to deal with.
Yep.
And then you can chase it back even further to the CDC to 2006. And since I mentioned this on Saturday, I've had 4 missed calls from the CDC to talk to me about immunizations. There was one again tonight. So 2 of them tonight, one at 8:03. So it's, folks, you got to go out. You got to do. Well, here you go. Now they're texting about Dr. Becker.
I've seen that. I just got it too.
8:18. Paid for by the Brighter Future Alliance, folks.
Oh boy.
I'm tired of the current North Dakota political machine. It's a blood sport, man. It is. And they wonder why people don't show up for commission meetings. They wonder why people don't show up for their district meetings.
There's a couple of reasons for that. And I've been learning that here, especially since we've started the show. It wasn't as bad as when Luke was on, because Luke and I we had a little bit more fun with it. We weren't as serious as you and I are, and we've talked about some. Oh, that's no problem. It's that's why we started it, and yeah, as we've talked about some of these issues, and we've had opinions on things, and not just opinions, but we've been able to prove stuff, and there's people that don't like that. But to your point, I guess what I'm getting at is the reason how do I say this? So am I echoing?
No, sorry. I was catching comments. I didn't realize my volume was on. I didn't mean to distract you.
So in my opinion, especially in the last, how long have you and I been together now? A year? Maybe
September will be a year. So we're a solid 7-8 months into it.
Yeah. So the other reason why it's not just the establishment, but when you're supposed to be on a side and you don't know who to trust and you don't know who you can count on. I mean, there's a lot of that going on. I mean, take for instance the deal with your church in the leadership conference. I just feel,
well, I mean, you look at what we had Rob Port come out with an article, 2 of them. I mean,
Rob Port is Rob Port, but we all know what Rob Port is. I mean, that's just it is. He is who he is. Kind of like Joel Heitkamp. You know what? I listen to a lot of them, but I would have to say that Joel Heitkamp is probably the best one, and this is the reason why I say this. It's not that I agree with everything that he says, or even a quarter of what he says, but Joel is who Joel is, right?
Yep.
He's upfront, and he's not fake. He's not a phony. He is who he is, and if you don't like it, well, that's all right too.
Find a different channel.
Right. So, but the thing about it is especially when you're new to this stuff and you come in and you think you're going to change maybe not even change the world, but at least help. And then you don't even know who to trust, because after a while, pretty soon you'll end up on a news clip or someone else's video, and because they didn't agree with everything you've said. And I mean, it's just that has a lot to do with it too, is these new people, they get in and then they see that It's not all that's cracked up to be, and it's a lot of work. I mean, let's face it. It's a lot of work, right, Marvin? I mean,
Absolutely.
how much work do you have in when you help? I mean, we know what we do with the show, but
Well, the last
you don't even, I know you do a lot of work behind the scenes for especially when sessions in and different things like that, but I just feel like because you've asked or you've seen me ask every guest or anybody is um we gotta stop spreading untruths and then you get blocked. Yeah, that's for sure, Carrie. Uh,
well, when you get into this and you make so much noise right away, everybody wants to be your friend. I mean,
yeah,
I dealt with this. I dealt with it in 2020. Everybody acts like they're your friend because they want to know where you're getting your information.
yeah,
They want to know. Mine was all from research. Like, the thing with me is like trigger words will hit my memory. So, case in point, 2020, somebody asked me what happened at the Knife River care facility. I got curious. I went out looking. Well, it was, I think 2017 or 2018. They had a flu outbreak there where they locked down the facility. They weren't allowing people in or out. They weren't allowing people to visit their sick grandparents. It was literally what was going on in 2020.
hmm
And I went out and I started reading the news articles. And lo and behold, two of the people that were related to the care facility were two of the people that were appointed to writing the lockdowns in 2020. It's right there. One was a facility director. One was in charge of the nurses. Both their names were attached on the nursing home lockdowns. Every time it was redrafted, their names were attached to it. You look at the doctors that were speaking out. In 2017, we cheered on all those doctors, all the same doctors that were talking against the people. We cheered them on because what they were doing at CHI. That was the doctors' revolt that made the press. Every one of the doctors, folks, that signed off on that piece of paper demanding that the mayors mask up were the same doctors that we were cheering for in 2017. And you know what they had in common, Shiloh?
Hmm.
They all worked for Chris Jones,
Hmm.
our former commissioner of Health and Human Services. Every last one of them. Even funnier, one of them, Dr. Joan Connell, was signing off on the state health officer orders the day before the state health officer in 2020.
Now, why would they do that?
I don't know. They're regional inspectors. So I'm just going to piss everybody off tonight.
Well,
So
it is what it is. I mean,
I'm just fired up. I'm
I've
sorry.
I've thought about this for a long time now, and because we've asked that question is how do we get more engagement? How do we get more involvement? And I just feel like it doesn't help when you don't know who's on the right side or whatever the case may be. I've said it for a long time. There's going to come a time. It's not Democrat versus Republican. It's good versus evil, and you're going to have to pick which side you're on.
You know what, Shiloh?
And,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
and as far as I'm concerned, I mean, we've had videos made of us and all kinds of different things because people didn't agree with what we said, and that's fine. We had our reasons too, and that's fine. My thing is when you don't lie, you don't have anything to hide. I'm I'm a anybody who knows me knows that I'm pretty upfront, and if I make a mistake, I'll admit it. but I'm pretty upfront. There's no phony about me. There never has been, never will be. I refuse to do that. And I just feel like there's a lot of phonies out there. And
Yeah.
that doesn't help the cause.
Yeah. Well, you know, kind of the fun part of Saturday for me was there was actually a gal that was sitting in front of Mike and I, and we were really off in the corner, so it's not like we were in the middle of the crowd. And um, after lunch, I had changed into my suit and my shirt, so I was actually looking presentable for speaking. And I got to chatting with her because I was waiting for Mike to come back, and she goes, "Well, I'm running for such and such a district."
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, "Oh, well, do you know so and so?" And I'm not going to say what district. I would like to have her on just to talk with her. Um, and she goes, "No, well, actually, I'm running in the opposite party against them." And I'm like, "Oh, well, that's cool." I go, "Well, what's kind of your main drive here?" And this gal is very passionate about veteran affairs, about
Mm-hmm.
suicide prevention, about all that stuff. And whether she makes it all the way to the Capitol or not, that's entirely beside the point. I want to hear about what's her drive there, because I mean, veterans, we have so many veterans in the state, and I really feel like there could be better service for once you get home from serving overseas, or once you get done serving in the military. And um, like the passion that she has for that particular subject really impressed me, Shiloh, because you don't see that. You don't see somebody that wants, like, this is my driving force.
Yeah.
And she straight up to me, she goes, "I honestly had debated running as an independent, but independents don't win in North Dakota." And so I think I'm going to reach out to her, and I want to try and get her on the show, just because I want to hear her drive on the veteran affairs, because it's one area, like, I know a lot about it, but I want to help more in that particular area. I do. Because it's one where I'm like, okay, there's smarter people in the room dealing with this. But obviously, if you got
We need
somebody
to.
that's dealing with this on the ground, it's something that needs to be dealt with at the Legislative Assembly, better than it currently is. So, and that's the thing, Shiloh. If we can't have a conversation, like, she thought I was automatically going to judge her just because she said, "Well, I'm running as a Democrat." I wanted to legitimately hear what her drive was for being there. And she goes, I really like coming to events like this. I like coming to learn. I like coming um, to see different people's point of views. If we started having conversations like that instead of yelling and screaming and calling each other out on Facebook, holy shit, Shiloh, imagine what we would accomplish.
I don't.
Pardon the lack of better terms.
No, I get it.
Just
That's where
like
I've been
Church
for a long
Sunday,
time.
always speak the truth for those who are afraid of speaking the truth. One person may give that person courage or permission to also speak truth.
Yep.
So,
No, it's and maybe I don't know. I've called people out, I guess, candidates anyway that are running. I just did a little bit ago with Kelly. I don't feel that he's all that he's cracked up to be, that people think he is, and I know there's a lot of people who are disgusted because there isn't anyone else. There isn't anyone else. Not to be taken seriously.
right there, Michelle, I have a voice.
Hi,
Use
Michelle.
it. Use it, please. Talk to
She,
your friends, talk to your neighbors, talk to people that you support, like, we all
we
need
got
to
a
do
viewer
it.
she's from Alabama. She's a good family friend of ours. They used to live by us when we lived in Hazen, and we had some horses on some land that they were living on and stuff. So Michelle's known me for quite a while.
Yeah, and
So,
that's the thing. I mean, support your local candidates. That's all we can do.
yep. And if you can't support them, then run against them. Easier said than done, right?
And if you don't want to talk to your neighbors, at least put out the signs in your front yard of all the candidates you support and piss them off. I swear to God, Shiloh, driving down my street looks like a war zone right now.
Oh, I bet.
It does, because you got Becker signs out, you have Fedor check signs out, you have what other signs are out right now? There's like 5 different park board signs. You have city commission signs.
Travis Jensen.
Yeah, Travis Jensen signs out. Like, it's all over the place. It's
We need
kind
to
of like
get
a
him
war
on
zone.
too. I wonder if he's
He's been
watching?
super busy. I've talked with him.
Has he?
Yeah, we
Well,
want
that
to try and get
Travis.
him on.
Travis,
But
you still got an open invitation, bud. If you're oh, here he said support is. What's he say? Support is one thing, but we need
people to vote. Yep, encourage everyone to vote.
Yep, I
Help
agree
answer
with you,
questions
Travis.
and educate. Absolutely, Travis.
Travis,
And
you
that's
got an open invitation still to be on with us. You just let us know when it works out for you.
oh, that'd be an angry show with all of us. No, I love Travis. He's good people.
Yep.
But the thing is like, what nobody realizes, Shiloh, is how important the primary is.
Yep.
I could care less about the state races at the primary.
Right.
Like
the school boards
and I'm not saying that I don't care about those races. But June, folks, is your local officials. June is when you support who represents your town, your school board, your county, your park board. If you don't vote in June, let's plan on the end of the month.
Yeah,
if you
so
don't
it is the
vote in
last day of
June-
the month, by the way, Travis. Just being a smart butt, but sorry, Marvin, I didn't mean to
Yeah,
cut you off.
no, it's
But it
fine.
is the last day of April, Travis.
You know, Sarah showed me a meme the other day. It was the one regret you have in life, and it was of Justin Timberlake, and underneath it said, mispronouncing me.
Shoot.
You know, Shiloh, when we're off camera, I love to laugh. I love to joke. I love
Right.
to I love to play video games, folks. I do. I love to spend time with my little girl, but at the same point, like, it comes back to, I don't want to, you can't make me.
Mhm.
Like, I even say it before I come on the show, because it's making that conscious decision. So,
Yep.
oh boy. Well, I've been ranting all night. What do you know?
Nothing much. I think we both kind of covered it. So there is probably a few announcements we should make. I guess we're gonna just go to one night for the summer.
Yeah.
Both you and I have got some stuff going on. You were kind of talking about it earlier. With my job the way it is, and then I'm actually doing some other stuff. I'm doing some horsemanship clinics this summer. We've announced one at Ben Simon's place that we're having. I got to change the date on it because I have some work engagements that kind of ran into it. So it isn't going to be on the weekend that we thought it was going to. We're going to be moving that to, it sounds like, the middle of June, but be watching for that announcement. But yeah, I'm going to be doing some horsemanship clinics, and I've got a horse or two that I need to start riding, and I'm going to enjoy doing that and hanging out with my daughter and son and stuff like that. So we got a few things going on with the family as well. But yeah, so we're going to go back to just Tuesday nights, and that'll just be for the summer until winter decides to show its ugly head again, or Marvin can't put his roof on his house, one of the two, right?
Right. Well, we're going to Steel, so there's that.
Yeah,
Probably
there you
gonna
go.
piss off all my neighbors with that. But the other thing is, folks, with like the cutting down on shows, we looked at pragmatically speaking. I mean, Fridays, you roll into the weekend. We got 3 months to try and get whatever we can done during the summer, whether it's camping, spending time with your kids, or just relaxing, barbecuing, and spending time with friends.
Sure.
So I know once we get past the primary, like we're going to have a few more guests that are running for office here coming into the primary. Once we get past the primary, I'd like to get some local business support shows up and going. So if you got a local business that you want to talk about that you haven't had a chance to talk about, let's get you on. I talked to some folks this weekend there with Integrity Marketing out of Grand Forks. I'd like to have them on. Good Patriot-owned company. Like their products are amazing. So we'll look at getting those guys on in June. And
Yeah,
then
let's talk about that a little bit. I know I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
no, that's fine.
let's kind of talk a little bit about that. So, earlier now we were kind of talking, and it's, I don't know, I guess you could say it's negative or however you want to put that, but we're going to try and do some more positive things, right?
Yeah.
Like we had Whitney on a couple weeks ago, and that was my niece. And that young lady is trying to be the change that she wants to see in her community.
Yep.
And so Marvin and I have been talking a lot since then, and even before then, haven't we, Marvin, about different guests that we want to have on as well. So we're like Marvin was saying, we're in thought and in communication with some of these people. And if there's a business or someone that you guys think that we should interview or have on, please, by all means, get a hold of us. Give them our contact information or get us theirs. We would definitely love to do something like that because, we sit here all the time and it's like, maybe we should start doing that too, is being the change that we want to see, right?
I
Not
want to
just
have a
always
fun summer, man. I do.
Yep. It's not all about beating a dead horse, it feels like sometimes. But yeah, we want to, we want to be the change that we want to be.
Yeah.
So,
something else we'll start seeing this summer. I've already been working on them. I'll probably be putting out a series of articles just on different topics, information I've gathered over the years, bills and legislation that we should be really looking at, things that need to be addressed and fixed. Just informative stuff, folks, where it'll have the links. Like if you look at our carbon capture link or our carbon capture article we did on the website, in September last year, if it's blue and underlined, it's hyperlinked to the source. The only thing that's not hyperlinked in that entire document on the carbon capture was the White House document, which you can no longer find.
Wonder why that is.
Yeah, well, page 59 speaks out pretty hard against the carbon market, and that was given to President Biden. So there's that. But I want that information. I want you guys to have the information at your fingertips. So when we cut back on shows this summer, when we get rainy days here where I can sit and work on building up our website, we're going to get more information out for you.
Yeah.
I'd like to get an event calendar up and running so that if you got something awesome going on in your community, we can have it up and on the website. So it's not that we're backing off the show. We're just spending some time with our kids this summer, folks.
Yep. Next fall, the show is going to have, it's our goal that the show is going to have a new look per se, with different things on our social media. And hopefully by then we're going to have our audio versions out there as well. So on different platforms as well. So yeah, with that, it takes time. It takes more time than I'd ever imagined. That's for sure. And I know Marvin does most of that for us, and
well,
I'm learning that at work.
I don't.
What's that?
You like your sleep, I don't.
Well, yeah, but I'm having to learn too with work because I have to do different things at work too. And one of the things I do is I put out a safety tip of the week for our company, and that's basically this. And so I'm trying to learn how to do that more efficiently and make an intro and an outro and all that good stuff. But anyway, I don't need to bore people with that. I just know that it can be overwhelming sometimes, especially when you open up different uh, programs and there's all these buttons that do different things, and your mind is going 100 miles an hour about what you want, and you still can't figure it out. So that's my problem is that my mind gets to going too fast, and then it just gets overwhelming sometimes with all the features and everything. And so at any rate, but yeah, be looking forward to that this fall. And talking with the guys with the guns in 701, and I think we're
That
gonna
was
do
fun.
some.
I think we should
It
do another
was.
show with them.
Yeah, they're interested in doing some more simulcasting together on different issues. So yeah, it's the future's looking bright. We just this summer we just both really need this summer, and I need it, and my so I'm looking forward to it. And Marvin, I know you are. And so with that being said, I guess we'll start that this week. Then we will just be on Tuesday nights now until fall here.
So my closing thoughts for those that still hung through with us. If you have questions on these candidates, reach out to them. It's amazing the accessibility this year on some of the new candidates.
Yep.
Yesterday, that whole DPI thing popped up, and we won't get into that because the post has been since deleted. But I actually called and spoke with Jim and with Jason last night, just clarifying I had nothing to do with what was going on there. But even like Alex is super easy to get a hold of. Jim's
Yep.
super easy to get a hold of. Jason's super easy to get a hold of most of the time. Rick will get to you as soon as he can.
Yeah.
Travis obviously is on Facebook all the time. So if you have questions about his run for Bismarck School Board, like reach out to these folks.
Yep.
They want to represent you, but they don't know how you want to be represented unless you speak with them.
Yep. Information is power. Thanks for all both you do. You bet, Travis. And if you have stuff that you want to get out, you can send us a bio and all that for later in the month. We can put it up on our website as well. So
Travis
we'll
actually stopped by Sarah's grandma's house. Was it Sarah's grandma's? I can't remember where we were at. Sarah's grandma's, Sarah's aunt's. He was delivering signs and sat and chatted for an hour and a half a couple weeks ago. That was super nice.
Yeah.
And just fun to
Good.
talk to.
Good deal. Yeah, I like watching his videos and stuff. I think I've met him once or twice in person, but at any rate, I'm looking forward to having him on the show. And just Travis, let us know what day you want to be on when it works for you later in the month. So
All right, folks, we're gonna call it, I think, here, unless you
yep,
got anything else, Shiloh.
I do not.
I think
I
we made
just
enough
wish you
people
guys
mad.
all a good week. Wish you all a good week. And if you have any questions or concerns, you can always reach out to us on our email or website, however you want to do it. We're always up for a good discussion. So at any rate, you guys have a blessed week, and we'll talk to you next week on Here's the Deal.